This instructional video is to offer clarification on reading the Glynn-Johnson 90 series installation instructions. I'm going to start on page 2, which has reference information mostly. You have some dimensional information. It shows you what your A, B, and C dimensions are. Your A is from the pivot point of your hinge to the first mounting hole of the overhead stop. Your C dimension is the center to center of the mounting holes of the door mounted stop. Your B dimension is the pivot point of the hinge to the pivot point of your jam bracket. Now, in order to know where all of these dimensions need to go, first you need to know what mounting group you need. For this example, I'm going to be using a 4.5 inch butt hinge, which tells us it is mounting group 2, and all of this information will be on page 3. Page 3 has a somewhat confusing looking chart, but based on what we know of page 2, from page 2, I need to use mounting group 2. And for this example, we will be doing a 90-degree opening. So here's your A and B dimensions, and then you just get the 2 dimensions you need. Say this is for a normal 36-inch opening. I'd be using my A dimension of 6 11/16 and a B dimension of 7 7/8. Now you also have your C dimension and your I dimension over to the right. C dimension again is the center to center of the overhead stop itself. The I dimension is the center to center of the pivot points of the arm. This is mostly just for reference to make sure you have the right size overhead stop for your opening. In this case, it should be 15 3/4. Page 4 has the rest of the information you need on how to mount it. In the middle of the page, again, you have your A, B, and C dimensions shown as far as referencing what they are. You also have the dimensions showing you that from the stop to the center line where you're going to drill your holes is 1 3/16. And this is for the door mounted portion. For your jam bracket, dimension shows you that it should be 9/16 of an inch from the edge of the stop plus your B dimension to the center line of the pivot point. Now, based on what we saw on page 3, you know your A dimension is 6 11/16 from the pivot point to the first hole. You add your C dimension, which would be an additional 23 3/4 to your second hole. And then your B dimension is shown on page 3 with 7 7/8 from the pivot point to the pivot point of your jam bracket. With those dimensions, that's pretty much all you need for a 90 series.